So friends, the January 6th committee's work is winding down. The committee is working on its final report, and we know there will be tons of information in there about the evidence their investigation uncovered. But there's still the open question of whether the committee will make formal criminal referrals to the Department of Justice. And if they do, who will they refer? Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So the January 6th House Select Committee, you know the one, the committee investigating the insurrection, the committee investigating the attack that Donald Trump organized, incited, and then launched on the U.S. Capitol in an effort to stop the certification of Joe Biden's election win. Yeah, that committee, the J6 committee's work is coming to a conclusion. Or maybe we should call it a crescendo. And we will soon see the committee's final report. And it will include the evidence that the committee uncovered and developed through the testimony of more than 1,000 witnesses, 1 million plus documents, countless pieces of evidence. And one of the questions that has been a hot topic in recent weeks is whether the January 6th committee will make formal criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, and if so, who will they refer for prosecution? Here is today's reporting on that topic by CNN. Headline, January 6th Committee to discuss criminal referrals at Sunday meeting. And that article begins, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6, 2021 insurrection will meet on Sunday to discuss criminal referrals, panel member Representative Adam Schiff said. The panel is weighing criminal referrals for former President Donald Trump and a number of other individuals, sources say, including former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, right-wing lawyer John Eastman, former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark, and Trump's former lawyer Rudy Giuliani, as CNN previously reported. While the referrals would largely be symbolic in nature, as the Justice Department has already undertaken a sprawling investigation into the U.S. Capitol attack and efforts to overturn the 2020 election, committee members have stressed that the move serves as a way to document their views for the record. Representative Schiff stressed his view that criminal referrals from the committee make an important statement, not a political one, but a statement about the evidence of an attack on the institutions of our democracy and the peaceful transfer of power that Congress, examining an attack on itself, is willing to report criminality. Schiff continued, so I think it's an important decision in its own right if we go forward with it, he said, and one that the Department of Justice ought to give due consideration to. So let's quickly work our way through 3 questions. 1, what is a criminal referral? 2, what form will it take? What is it likely to look like if Congress makes a criminal referral to the Department of Justice? And 3, what impact, if any, will a criminal referral by Congress have on the Department of Justice? So the first question, what is a criminal referral? A criminal referral is nothing more than one co-equal branch of government, Congress, after conducting an investigation, telling another co-equal branch of government, the executive branch, the Department of Justice, we conducted this investigation. We took the testimony of lots of witnesses, subpoenaed lots of documents, accumulated lots of evidence, and our investigation revealed that certain people committed certain crimes in violation of the laws of the United States. So we are referring those people, together with this evidence, to the Department of Justice, because we, Congress, can't prosecute anybody. Only the executive branch can, the Department of Justice. So we are referring this person or these people, based on what we learned during our investigation, for criminal investigation and, if appropriate, prosecution. In a nutshell, that's a criminal referral. Second question, what might a criminal referral look like? What form might it take? I want to actually skip over question 2 and go to question 3, because I think our discussion of question 3 will help answer question 2. What will it look like? What form will it take? So question 3 is, what impact, if any, will a criminal referral from Congress have on the Department of Justice? So first of all, I suggest it's impossible to precisely answer the question, how might a criminal referral from Congress impact the thinking over at the Department of Justice? Now, mind you, that was my professional home for nearly a quarter of a century. I know lots of the people who still work there. They're my friends, my former colleagues. And this probably won't surprise you, but just about everybody who works at the Department of Justice is a human being. And it's very hard to completely ignore a recommendation from a co-equal branch of government that, hey, we conducted this lengthy, exhaustive, historic investigation. We have all of this evidence now. We've documented it, and it tends to show certain people committed offenses against the United States. And Department of Justice, we're presenting it all to you now, and we are urging you, we are recommending that you pursue this matter and these people criminally. You know, I can tell you, as a former career prosecutor, could I completely divorce that from my assessment of whether the evidence supports bringing charges or not? Hard to do. I mean, we try to keep our prosecutorial blinders on when it comes to outside influence. So here's one of the important principles that I think can serve as a guidepost to, trying to answer the question, what impact might it have on the Department of Justice? Prosecutors exercise independent prosecutorial discretion. What does that mean? It means that I didn't pay attention to outside influences when, day in and day out, particularly as chief of the homicide section at the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office, I had to make prosecutorial decisions, whether to approve indictments or decline to approve indictments. And there was always lots of potential outside influence and voices and opinions and recommendations on that question. But prosecutors really do need to try to tune all that out and make their prosecutorial decisions based solely on the evidence that has been developed during the course of a grand jury investigation. So prosecutors will, I'm quite sure, accept the information from Congress. They will certainly accept the evidence, the transcripts, the documents, the items of evidence that were subpoenaed by the J6 committee, because evidence is evidence from whatever source. They'll have to test it to make sure it's sound, it's reliable, it's accurate, it's truthful. I suspect those 1,000+ transcripts that Congress is preparing to deliver to the Department of Justice, and you may have heard they're also going to deliver them to we the people. They're going to disclose them all. That's what the J6 committee has promised us. But when those transcripts are delivered to DOJ will have lots of follow-up to do, because you can't blindly rely on a transcript that is handed to you. You have to follow up with the witness. So there's still a lot of work ahead for the Department of Justice. But when a co-equal branch of government has conducted this kind of exhaustive investigation and documented its investigative efforts and offers its conclusions in the form of a recommendation that certain people broke the law and should be pursued criminally, friends, that cannot help but impact the Department of Justice. To turn a completely blind eye to that, I think, would be foolish and foolhardy, and frankly would do a disservice to a co-equal branch of government. So let's now go back to question 2, because I think it will help inform also what we've just discussed about question 3. Question 2, what form will it take? Here's the good news, friends. We already discussed how all the evidence is going to go over, but that's not the criminal referral part. The criminal referral part is the J6 committee assimilating all the evidence and information and then making a recommendation to DOJ about who may have committed which federal crimes. And that's where I think the nature of the January 6th investigative committee comes in. You've heard me talk about this before, and this gives me great comfort. The head of the J6 investigative committee is a former RICO prosecutor from my old office, the DC U.S. Attorney's Office, named Tim Heafy. When he was named as Chief Investigative Counsel, he went about assembling a team. And that team consists of former federal prosecutors who know their way around a criminal investigation, who know how to document evidence through the testimony of witnesses and through subpoenaing documents and other evidence. And then they know how to put together a report that sets out not only here's who testified and here's the documents we subpoenaed, but how you can assimilate it all and how you should read that evidence with respect to the criminal statutes that are on the books. So I have a feeling the form it will take is going to be a very compelling report setting out precisely not only who did what, but how who did what satisfies the elements of particular crimes. So I have a feeling the report that the J6 committee is about to disclose to the American people is going to be a really compelling narrative about precisely why the evidence that the J6 committee has amassed proves, indeed beyond a reasonable doubt, that crimes were committed. So friends, to sum up, the form of the criminal referrals, and more broadly the form of the final report that is about to be issued by the J6 committee, can't help but impact the Department of Justice if the report contains the kind of compelling narrative that sets out in great detail the evidence and how that evidence satisfies the elements of particular crimes, how that evidence shows, proves that particular people committed particular federal crimes. Because once that's in the public square, and once that's in the hands of Department of Justice prosecutors, it can't help but have an impact. And I think it will move the needle significantly in the direction of indictments. And that's a good thing, because justice matters. Hang in there, friends. As always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.